Today we're going to talk about summarizing and paraphrasing or writing something in your own words. Why would you need to summarize an article or a chapter? This may be an instruction from your lecturer. You may have been asked to describe or explain what a particular text says, or you may need to discuss what a particular author has to say on a topic. You will need to be able to identify the author's main points and rewrite them in your own words. This will do three things. It will firstly show your understanding of the piece of writing, and it will allow you to explain the author's work in your own words. This lays the foundation to be able to critically evaluate what the author says. How do you go about summarizing a chapter or a section of writing? You will need your pre-reading strategies and your comprehensive reading strategies. So make sure you watch the videos on effective reading strategies before you watch this video. So firstly, your pre-reading skills or skimming. It is important to look at the title or the heading of the text to predict what the text will be about. Now look at the subheadings. Then look at charts, graphs, and any other graphics on the pages that you want to summarize. If you're summarizing a journal article, read the abstract to get an overview of the whole article. Also have a look at the author and the source of the text to make sure this is a credible and reliable source. You will not try to summarize sentence by sentence. You want to discuss the author's main points. This is going to require good comprehensive reading strategies. How do you find the author's main points? You need to look for the topic sentence of each paragraph. A well-constructed academic paragraph should contain only one main point, and then the rest of the sentences in the paragraph should support that main point or that topic sentence. So first you need to try and identify what is the main point of the paragraph that you're reading. I want you to look at the extract from Milan, which is printed on the next slide. And I want you to ask yourself the questions. What do you think the main sentence in paragraph 1 is? Another way to find the main point is to ask yourself, what is the central controlling idea of this paragraph? Where is the main sentence in this paragraph? So let's go and have a look at that abstract. You will see that in the first paragraph, the topic sentence is actually the first sentence of the paragraph. Chapter 13, Section 41(2) of the Constitution 1996 stipulates that national government should establish dispute resolution mechanisms to reduce unnecessary litigation among organs of state, because the principles of cooperative government determine that a negotiated rather than a conflict approach should be followed when dealing with disputes. You will note that the other sentences in the paragraph explain and discuss intergovernmental dispute resolution mechanisms. So to sum up, a topic sentence is then the single controlling idea of the paragraph. It is a general statement which can be discussed further in the paragraph. It can be anywhere in the paragraph, but very often it is the first sentence of the paragraph. It could also be the concluding sentence, which summarizes the paragraph's discussions. What do the other sentences or supporting sentences in the paragraph do? Let's quickly have a look at those. What is the job of these supporting sentences? They describe or explain the main point. They give evidence, facts, statistics in support of the main idea. They give examples of the main idea. Sometimes they can quote authority figures or legislation to support a main idea. They can use results or findings from other studies. And they could also make reference to theories and models from other researchers. Now I want you to go back to that extract and identify the main points for each of the other two paragraphs in the extract that we're summarizing. If you have a careful look, you will notice that the main points of paragraph 2 and paragraph 3 are also the first sentences in each paragraph. I would recommend that you write all of these main points now in a separate document. So list them for yourself separately in another document. So now, how would you go about paraphrasing or writing these main points in your own words? Most people advise you not to use more than 3 to 4 words in a row from the original text. Unfortunately, I believe that this could lead to one of the biggest mistakes students make in paraphrasing, which is what I call the synonym substitution approach. This is where you use a dictionary or thesaurus and find synonyms for every third or fourth word, but otherwise you keep the sentence exactly the same as the original. See what happens if I follow this approach. I've decided to look for synonyms for conflict, government, dispute, and purposes. So look in the dictionary. I looked in the dictionary, suggests variance as a synonym for conflict. So let me look for government. Another word could be powers. The first synonym I found for dispute was discourse, and another word for purposes is motives. Let's reread the sentence using these synonyms. Not every variance involving powers in it is an intergovernmental discourse for the motives of the IRFA. Now that doesn't make sense at all. But this is unfortunately what happens most of the time if you use the synonym substitution approach. It leads to very confusing sentences and is not a reflection of your understanding of the text. So I would rather recommend the following for effective paraphrasing. Identify the words in the text which are discipline or subject-specific words. These are words that have a specific meaning in your context and are generally used in your field. These words should not be paraphrased. All the other words in the text can be changed, but you don't need to worry about common words like the, and, or, and so on. So in this sentence, not every conflict involving government is an intergovernmental dispute or conflict for the purposes of the IRFS. I would suggest that the words government, intergovernmental, and IRFA are subject-specific words that should not be changed. This would also apply to concepts in your discipline such as democracy, states, governance, etc. In this example, we could also add the word dispute to the list of words to keep, as the Act specifically refers to dispute resolution mechanisms. Now that we've decided which words we need to keep the same, let's work on paraphrasing the rest of the sentence. My next hint is that you change the sentence construction and word order of the original. My suggested paraphrase is: there are certain instances when the dispute is not the function of the IRFA to resolve, as it is not an intergovernmental conflict. You can see that I've started with the second half of the original sentence and I've changed non-essential words. Finally, you need to make it clear that this is the opinion of another author and not yourself. So add an in-text reference right there. You need to use the author's surname followed by the year of publication and the page number. Put this in brackets after the author's surname. Now, use a present tense reporting verb to introduce the author's point or idea. For example, I've used states here, but you could use reporting verbs such as argues, claims, explains, proposes. Remember to use a variety of reporting verbs and don't get stuck using states all the time. Generally, though, you would not be paraphrasing just one sentence at a time, but a paragraph or maybe a section of a person's writing. So once you've identified the main points of every paragraph, you also need to look at the supporting evidence and paraphrase these as well. Remember the first topic sentence of paragraph 1 of our extract? Chapter 3, section 41(2) of the Constitution, 1996, stipulates that national government should establish dispute resolution mechanisms to reduce unnecessary litigation among organs of state, because the principles of cooperative government determine that a negotiated rather than a conflict approach should be followed when dealing with disputes. I've identified 3 supporting points. The IRFA prescribes mechanisms for intergovernmental dispute resolution, follow the spirit of cooperation, avoid conflict, follow national procedures for provincial and local governments to establish internal dispute resolution procedures. Now let's put it all together. I used the hints we discussed above. I kept only discipline-specific words. I changed the sentence construction and word order. I changed the order the points were mentioned in, and I gave an in-text reference. Malan describes how the IRFA prescribes mechanisms for intergovernmental dispute resolution in accordance with Chapter 3, Section 41(2) of the Constitution of 1996. She explains that the focus of intergovernmental relations should be on cooperation, while conflict and legal action should be avoided in terms of the principles of cooperative government. Malan further highlights that national procedures should be used by provincial and local governments to establish internal dispute resolution procedures. And there you have it. So, to sum up then, when you are paraphrasing, do not use the synonym substitution method. Identify the main point of each paragraph. Identify the supporting evidence given for each main point. Only keep subject or discipline specific words. Change the sentence construction and word order, and give an in-text reference. I trust that you are now ready to start summarizing and paraphrasing on your own.